Hello, Kinder Scientists! Miss Hutchinson here in my backyard, ready for more Science Lab. I hear you've been learning all about the ocean. And while I couldn't bring the ocean to my backyard, I thought about something else kind of related to the ocean that we could talk about. We are so fortunate here in Southern California and in Manhattan Beach to have the ocean right in our backyard. When you want to go and visit the ocean to see everything you've been learning about, where is it you typically go? Let me give you some hints. It's in the name of our city. You go during summer when the weather is super duper nice. You can do all sorts of things there, like make sandcastles, go in the ocean, play with your family. Where is that place called? The beach. You guys are so smart. When you go to the beach, it is so fun. What are some things you can do there? Turn and tell someone at home things you like to do at the beach. You guys like to do so much. I like to be in the sand, making sandcastles. I like to go in the ocean and dive under waves. There are so many fun things to do at the beach. But when we go to the beach, are we inside or outside? That's right, we're outside. Are there places with a lot of shade at the beach? No, not really. Maybe you bring an umbrella to give yourself some shade. But there's a very powerful source up in the sky that is all over us when we're at the beach. Do you know what that very powerful natural source is? I'm going to give you a few more clues. We see it almost every day, unless it's cloudy. It gives us light and heat. It is the closest star to the Earth. I bet you know it. The sun. When we're at the beach, we are out in the sun all day. You might have an umbrella to give you some shade, but for the most part, you're out in the sun. And the sun is very powerful. So what is it that we use to protect ourselves from the sun? Sunscreen! That's right. So today we're going to actually do an experiment where we see the power of the sun and how important it is to put on sunscreen before you play outside, whether in your backyard, at a park, or at the beach. Now before we get into our activity, I have a little book I'd love to read to you. It's called Sun, 1 in a Billion. Let's take a listen. Sun, 1 in a Billion. Written by Sun with Stacy McAnulty, illustrated by Sun with Stevie Lewis. Once upon a time, about 4.6 billion years ago, a magnificent and important star was born. And that magnificent and important star was me, your sun, with a capital S. Yes, I am a star. Star, 1, a massive and luminous ball of gas full of energy. 2, an outstandingly talented and popular performer. I fit both definitions. The Milky Way galaxy has over 100 billion stars. That makes me 1 in a billion, or 1 in 100 billion. I'm not the biggest, so what? Not the brightest, who cares? Not the oldest, whatever. But I am the most important, at least to you Earthlings. Can you hang out for 8 minutes? That's how long it takes my light to reach Earth. Yep, I give you heat and light. You're welcome. I'm so important that Earthlings should name a special day in my honor. We can call it Sunday. Oh, wait. I'm famous for my heat and light, but I also hold our entire solar system together. Scientists call it gravity. What can I say? The planets are attracted to me. And because I'm the center of our solar system, life revolves around me, literally. Look, they all go in the same direction. Here are the 8 planets that revolve around our sun. Closest to the sun is Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, that's us, Mars, followed by Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and farthest away, Neptune. Those other stars are far, far away from Earth, which makes them look teeny tiny and not so important. I'm close, a mere 93 million miles from Earth. To an Earthling, I look like this. But to Neptunians, I'm 2,795 million miles away, and I look like this. If there were Neptunians, there's no known life on Neptune. Technically, I'm a yellow dwarf star. Identification card. Name, Sun. Type, dwarf star. Date of birth, long ago. G2 Milky Way, plasma donor. but I'm still a big, big deal. If I were the size of a basketball, Earth would be smaller than a grain of sand. You could fit about 1 million Earths inside me. But you can't fill me with Earths because I'm hot stuff. Compare. A hot summer day, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. A pizza oven, 700 degrees Fahrenheit. The orange-yellow flames in a campfire, about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Me, about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface. I can melt diamonds. Me, at my center, 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. Ancient Earthlings thought I circled the Earth. Can you imagine? Me revolving around Earth? And some might think that I sit in the sky all day and all night. But I got moves, baby. I'm spinning. And because I'm not solid, my middle moves faster than my top and bottom. About 25 Earth dates to rotate in the middle, about 36 Earth dates to rotate at the top and bottom. Don't try this at home. I'm not only important, I'm generous and good looking. Sunrises, sunsets, northern lights, southern lights. Sit back and enjoy the show. Sometimes I like to be mysterious and sneak away for a few minutes. Solar eclipse. But don't worry, I'm just behind the moon. While I'm astronomically bigger than the moon, 400 times wider, the moon is astronomically closer to Earth, almost 400 times closer. My neighbor stars have fancy names. Meet Proxima Centauri, Alpha Centauri A, and Alpha Centauri B. Me, I need just 3 letters. Give me an S. S, give me a U. U, give me an N. N, what does that spell? Sun. Sun, sun, he's our star, light and heat from afar. Please note, that's a capital S. I am important. Not to hog the spotlight, but I've still got it. I'm the same hot, bright star I've always been. A stable star is a good star. You don't want your sun getting hotter or cooling off. That would be really messy. So grab your shades. I plan to be in the biz for another 6 billion years. You and me, we've got a bright future together. How fun was that story? I love to hear all about the sun, especially when it's coming right from the sun. All right, so our experiment today is called Sunscreen Science. I want to go over the materials you're going to need and the steps to try this at home, and then I can show you how to do it. Let's take a look at our materials and our procedures. Materials. 1 piece dark construction paper, like blue, black, purple, or green, 1 type of spray sunscreen, and 1 marker or crayon to label your paper. Procedure. 1. Using your marker or crayon, split your paper in half. 2. Label one side sunscreen and the other no sunscreen. 3. Spray your hand with your sunscreen so there is a light layer on your palm. 4. On the side labeled sunscreen, make a handprint with your sunscreen-covered hand. 5. Leave the paper in a sunny spot for a few hours, 2 to 3, then observe what happens. 6. If you have more time, leave it even longer to see what happens. All right, so we've seen that it's just a few materials, some dark colored paper, and pretty much 1 type of sunscreen, and a few steps to try this out at home. Now, do you guys know that when you look at sunscreens, there's different types, right? Not just spray versus cream, but also this thing called SPF. Have you heard of that? Oh good, I'm glad you've heard of it. SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor, and there's different levels of how strong your sunscreen is. So you only have to test 1 type if that's what you have, but you can always test more if you have more at home. I found 2 different sunscreens with different SPFs that I'm going to try out here at home. I found an SPF 15 and an SPF 50, so I'm going to try both of them. So here's my setup. I have my black construction paper, sunscreen SPF 15, in the middle sunscreen SPF 50, and on the side, no sunscreen at all. Then I have, here's my SPF 50 sunscreen and my SPF 15 sunscreen. So I think I'm going to do 1 hand with 15, 1 hand with 50, and 1 with none. So let me readjust my camera and then you can see our setup. All right, I know you can't see my face, but this way you can see my paper and what I'm going to do. So this one is my sunscreen SPF 15, and I'm going to use my left hand. So I'm going to take my sunscreen, SPF 15, shake it a little bit, spray it on my hand. I don't want to spray the paper though. Let me move that off to the side a little bit. Spray my hand. So you can see it's got a nice sheen on it, nothing too crazy. I'm going to very carefully bring my paper back in and make my handprint. Pushing it down. Let's see. Did that work? Ooh, I think you can just see that there is a handprint right there. Maybe I'll do a little bit more sunscreen. I'm going to spray off to the side a little bit so I don't get it all over everything. There we go, a nice sheen, and I'm going to realign my hand on my handprint, push it down. Ooh, yeah, now you can definitely see that there's a handprint on there. And we're going to leave it like that. All right, I have a towel so I can wipe off my hand. Ooh. Now I'm going to move that one to the side. I've got my SPF 50. I'm going to do my right hand this time. Again, I think I'll spray off to the side so I don't get sunscreen all over everything. Oops. There we go. A nice sheen you can see, hopefully. Put my hand down. Press my handprint on there. SPF 50 with my right hand. Take it off. I think you can see that there's a handprint there. And there we go. Oops. There we go. I've got my SPF 15, my SPF 50, and this one has no sunscreen. I think I'm now ready to leave my paper out on the table. I promise you, I don't know if you can see it, but there are handprints. They're there. I'm going to leave it right here on the table where it's going to get lots of sun and check back in about 2 to 3 hours to see what happens. So if you want to give it a try at home, all you need is some sunscreen and black paper or blue paper or green or purple, something a little bit darker so you can actually see the change. Leave it out in the sun and we'll check back in a couple hours. See you soon, little scientists. Hi, Kinder friends. It's time to check in on our Sunscreen Science. So, after about 2.5 hours, I went out and checked my paper, and I saw that there was starting to be a change, but I thought, I bet if I leave it just a little bit longer, we'll see it even clearer. So I decided to leave it out for a couple more hours. And then I forgot about it. You guys, I forgot about it all the rest of yesterday, overnight, and I didn't even remember until this morning. So my paper's actually been outside all day yesterday, overnight, and into today. And I wanted to show you my results. It's longer than I planned, but you can definitely see the difference. So here you have it. My SPF 15, SPF 50, and the no sunscreen. Now the lighting here makes it hard to kind of see, but I also have a photo I'm going to show you that really shows the difference between the 2 sunscreens and the no sunscreen. If you tried it at home, what were your results? Did you see a difference between the no sunscreen side and the sunscreen side? If you leave it out for just a few hours, it might be hard to tell, but if you are able to leave it out for longer, then you should totally be able to see how important it is to wear sunscreen. We know how powerful the sun is. We did that experiment with this and earlier in the year when we had our colored changing lizards. Do you remember those? And we made them a sun shelter. We saw how powerful the sun could be. Well, now we see how powerful our sunscreen can be. So I hope you remember as we get into our summertime that anytime you go outside to play in your backyard, at a park, or especially at the beach, you remember to put on some sunscreen and keep yourself safe. That's all I've got for you this time, boys and girls. Until next time, stay curious, little scientists.